vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard, we feel valued, we feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back,
Providing a service to better a community,
to go out and serve people.
to be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Hello, Lee Summit. I'm Jordan. Here's your flash briefing for the week of April 13th. City Council will meet for a regular session Tuesday night at 6 in Council Chambers in City Hall. Meetings are open to the public or watch live on the city's YouTube channel. If you can't watch, catch the recorded meeting on demand on the YouTube channel or by subscribing to the Council Debrief newsletter, which breaks down 3 to 4 key agenda items. Subscribe at cityofls.net. Looking for a fun night out with friends or someone special? Head to Green Street on Friday, April 17th at 7 p.m. for Adult Night Out. Put your knowledge to the test and warm up those vocal cords for Trivioki with DJ Rosie. This free event is open to those 18 and older. Stay up to date on upcoming events at greenstreetls.com. And Recycle Fest is back on April 25th from 9 a.m. to noon at the city's maintenance facility. It's an opportunity for Lee Summit residents to dispose of a variety of items that can be recycled and repurposed, including 4 paper grocery bags of sensitive documents per household to be shredded. Find a full list of acceptable items on the city's website. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Traditionally, we think as police officers, those responding to law enforcement needs within the community. But honestly, we are there to serve our citizens, and our citizens do go into crisis. They do have mental health crises, and we're being called to those scenes on a regular basis. In order to help serve those citizens better, we did initiate the Crisis Intervention Team Program. These are officers that are specially trained to de-escalate crisis situations. Recently, we've brought co-responders onto the scene, licensed qualified mental health professionals housed within our police department, and they respond with those officers directly to those scenes where a crisis is occurring so they can interact with that citizen and get them the help they need right there on that scene.
The co-responders are either a bachelor or master level in a behavioral health related field. They wear plain clothes, they don't carry weapons or anything like that.
I have a police radio that I listen to all day. Listen for, those key words: mental health, behavioral health, crisis.
There's a lot of officers that just call for me. I have my own radio number.
I also have the ability to self-dispatch to them and say 982 is en route.
Officers en route, 914, Armstrong.
So typically I arrive after they've made it safe. I'll make contact and get kind of the rundown, and then I just kind of jump right in.
I'm like, hey, my name's Allison. I'm a mental health professional. I'm here to help you. I'm not here to take you to jail or arrest you.
Sometimes all a person needs is a voice, someone neutral, someone outside that, can listen. I do a lot of safety planning, including family, their support network, who's close to you. If they're home alone, who can come over and hang out with you today? Can we lock away your sharps? Can we put up your meds? Do you need meds? Can we get you over to the urgent care to get you assessed for your medications? Some of them also are like, oh, I'm so glad you came. This made me feel so much better.
Our main goal as the co-responders is to, one, get people connected to the services that they need, and also divert from emergency rooms and jails.
And they almost get a different view of the police responding. That lets me know you care and the officers care.
Please, how can I help you?
My husband has...
In 2020, we had 722 mental health related calls for service. 2022, by that time, 1,479. These mental health related calls for service are increasing. How we're responding to that is increasing the number of crisis intervention team officers we have available, as well as the number of co-responders we have available to respond on these calls.
So what I think is important for the community to know about the co-responder program is that we're here, we exist. All you have to do when you call 911 is ask for us. Say, hey, I want a co-responder to respond to this crisis, and we'll go. I was really struggling about 8 years ago on my personal journey with mental health, and I met some amazing social workers and amazing programs that have helped me get to where I am today. I really couldn't see myself doing anything else. We want to help, and that's what we love to do.
So I had a client, we got a call, she had some suicidal ideations, and she really felt that she had nobody. And and getting to know her story and getting to know who comes around and sees you, well then we found a support person and they responded immediately and we made a plan. I called back and checked on her in an hour, and then I checked on her in 2 hours. We were able to get her into the additional services to where she talks to someone every week or more. I just took a person that really just thought they had nobody and nobody would show up for them, and show them you do. And you'll be amazed who is in your corner if you just simply say, I need a little help.
Welcome to the Lee Summit Sign Department. We are going to walk you through our process from start to finish. We make signs as needed here. It's not like we just go out into the field and place a speed limit sign here, no parking here. Our traffic engineers, they go through and they'll do field studies. They'll send us down an engineering work order for us to go out, place new signs or remove signs as needed. Coming from the material, our blanks come in and they're just aluminum blanks. We can put our white, our red, our fluorescent yellow, green, whatever. And basically what it looks like is just that there. Throw it up into the roller. And once we got it covered, take it to our work table here, and Tim will cut the corners, cut all the access off to where it's lined up right. As far as the plotter and the software that we use, there's a street name sign there, and he's gonna go ahead and print that out on the plotter so you can see the plotter and how it operates and runs. There's standards for the height, even just on letters on the sign blank. Basically what we have on the computer there is it's pretty much set up to those. And it goes through, it's got a very small but sharp needle that goes through and cuts everything out letter by letter. Once that's done cutting, our next stage would be bringing it over here. Currently picking out the sign letters right now. We call it weeding or picking, or however you want to call it. Next, putting it on the transfer tape. Then after it's taped, we bring it over to the roller. That's where we apply it to the actual sign blank. And we'll roll it through one time just to get the air bubbles out. And the last stage is basically just taking the transfer tape off the front of it. And there's a finished product of the street name sign. We'll take you out to the field and show you our process that we go through. We're gonna go out and follow our sign guys and get something installed for you. This is where we check our underground utilities. Tim, you got AT&T?
AT&T's back here.
Evergy, Google, so we should be good to go. We normally put all of our stuff together out in the field. Then once the base is installed, we'll go ahead and put the post in there. We've come up to perfect. And that's how we do it. Simple, quick.
I really love living in our historic downtown. I walk my dog around. The shops take her for, they do pub cups at Poppy's, so you can get ice cream with a little dog biscuit in it, which is her favorite thing in the world. My neighbors, we have block parties together. I really like how welcoming and how vibrant it is. It's an amazing place to live. Lee Summit's a really great community. I love living here, and I just wanted to try to find a way to give back, look out for my neighbors, for the community. I've always tried to be involved. Before serving on city council, I used to volunteer with AFS, which is an organization that hosts foreign exchange students. So my husband and I have hosted kids from around the world, and then also volunteered with local families and schools. In my professional life, I'm a paralegal, and then in my personal life, I enjoy reading, sewing. I'm a quilter, so I just finished a log cabin quilt that I'm going to send to my aunt out in DC. I can't claim any of our council accomplishments for myself. This is always a team effort. But I am really excited about the farmers market and event space that we have coming in. It's still in the design phases, but I think it's going to be a really beautiful space, and it's going to really continue keeping our downtown thriving. It's been in progress for a long time, but I think that people are going to really love it when it's done. I think one of my top priorities is going to be attainable housing. That, for example, I've been trying to find a place for my mom in Lee Summit. And it's really challenging finding something that really works for a retiree who doesn't have a huge budget. Just trying to make it more attainable for people no matter where they're at in their lives to be a part of our community. Community is what we make it. Everybody should get involved in whatever way they can, whether that's just voting or whether it's joining a board or a commission or even running for office. What do they say? The world is run by those who show up. So get involved however you can and make a difference in the community.
I'd like to call to order the Public Works Committee meeting. May I please get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Pryor.
Here.
Vice Chair Rader.
Present.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Present.
And Councilmember Hodges. Not out. She's absent.
Thank you. May I please get an approval of the agenda?
Chair, I move to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Thank you. And next is public comments, and we do have a public comment. Mr. Telowitz. Hey.
Thank you. Nick Telowitz. I reside at 2789 Southwest Peterson Road, and I have two comments. One is I was informed last year that the city would be conducting a condition index inspection in 2026 for the Peterson Road. So I was questioning what the schedule for that is, because the deterioration of the road pavement and as a result of the increased traffic is increased. So that was one question, if that's been scheduled. And if there's any plans for improvements. The other subject I have questions about is the new Sampson Bridge project. A couple of things with the design. It appears there is pedestrian sidewalks as part of the new bridge, but no grading or sidewalks that would enable pedestrians to get to those sidewalks. So I wouldn't know if there was a plan for that to be completed. Maybe as part of the second area was that ground that's associated with that project. I understood there was going to be some further development on that ground, and what the schedule and what that actually includes, some public use area. And then thirdly, it seems like there's been a failed stormwater design associated with that project, because when we get rains, the road floods. And so I guess an update on those questions. If anybody here can address that. I don't know if they can address it here, that would be good, but if a follow-up response would also be requested.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for the questions. And Mr. Park, would you be able to address his questions?
Yes, normally we would take questions and later follow up, but I do believe we have staff available who could address those at this time. We'll start with the first being the pavement inspection, which you saw a presentation and you processed. An award of contract for us to proceed with doing a conditional assessment of all the roads within the city limits. This section of Peterson within our city limits would be included in that condition assessment. If Mr. Schmager is here, he might be able to provide a better update on the timing of that work, but I believe they have started or are scheduling the start of their survey. And while he makes his way up to the podium here to explain that, I'll also touch base on the other question, which was the bridge that was provided, pedestrian accommodations. Really, it's multimodal biped. That was built because we know our bridges last quite a long time, and there are long-range future plans for Sampson Road to be upgraded with sidewalks or trails, although there is no current project in the capital improvement plan, so there's no funding identified to make those improvements happen. Some of that would be contingent on adjacent land development and its schedule of development occurring, which the city has no control over. So I can't answer that third part about private development side. Private development is not conducted by the city. And if he is in reference to the Park West, which is nearby Sampson Road, that would be a good question maybe for Mr. Snook and his team at the Parks Department to follow up on, as that would be a Parks and Rec project to develop out that park. I'm sorry, yes. With regard to the stormwater, there is some overtopping that happens north of where the project was. I believe our operations division is planning to do some ditching and a little bit of work there, some maintenance to try to carry that stormwater to the creek where the improvements were made.
Thank you.
Vance Schmager, Project Manager, Public Works. I've had communication with our inspection company on April 2nd, and they're planning on being out here first part of May to actually do the inspection. It'll be this fall, possibly October, before we see any results from their analysis on what they get from that project. And just for your information, we have the Mill and Overlay on the agenda tonight for approval. Peterson and Hook Road is on this year's overlay program. Milling and overlay.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
And that's scheduled for inspection.
Next on the agenda is item A, approval of the March 9th, 2026 Public Works Committee action letter.
Chair, I move to approve the March 9th, 2026 Public Works Commission action letter.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. May I please get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next item, Bill number 26-073, an ordinance approving a cooperative agreement 2026-060 with AccuBrine LLC and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Graff?
Hi, good afternoon. Sean Graff, Assistant Director of Public Works Operations. For your consideration, I have an ordinance for a cooperative agreement with AccuBrine LLC. They are the manufacturer of our salt brine system. It's a system we bought about 11 years ago, and it mixes our salt and water together into a precise solution that they deem as appropriate for de-icing and anti-icing. What we're trying to replace is a lot of the main part is the computer, the brains of the thing. So we've got a computer that's 11 years old in there, and it's becoming old and obsolete. And we are having some problems getting some valves and sensors and things like that for it. So what this is doing is just update that current brine system up to today's standards. So a lot of the components that we purchased back in 2015, like our tank battery and our mixing station and things like that, we're still able to reuse them, but this is just kind of the brains of the unit. If you have any questions, I can get into salt brine and all that stuff if you want to hear all that, but if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any questions? No. All right. May I please get a motion to pass to council for approval?
Chair, I would move to forward on bill number 26-073 to full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item is item C, bill number 26-074, an ordinance approving work order number 3 to the on-call agreement for professional engineering services number 2026-061-3, RFQ number 2025-016, dated February 5th, 2026, between the City of Leesmont, Missouri and HDR Engineering, Inc., for professional engineering services for project number 1104 MBC-Winnebago EFHB for a not-to-exceed amount of $174,895 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Ms. Odell?
Hi, Lisa Odell, Deputy Director, Water Utilities. This is an agreement for engineering services associated with a pending construction project. So the construction is out to bid currently, so it's on public purchase. We're waiting for, we're open for contractors to submit a bid, and so those bids would be submitted by next week. But this contract in front of you right now is for the engineering services that would be associated with that construction project. So the project in question is allowing us to get some additional capacity in our sanitary sewer system. So the downstream pipe is a little smaller than it would need to be to handle some of the peak flows that are anticipated into the future, but that pipe is in a location that we can't readily replace it or upsize it. It goes underneath Lake Winnebago. So rather than addressing the pipe, we're just creating kind of essentially a wide spot in the line to allow some of those peak flows to be stored temporarily, so on a kind of 2-hour kind of basis, and then they would flow back into the pipe when the peak flow has subsided. That contract would come to this body hopefully in the next month or two when those bids are submitted. This contract, though, is for the engineering services associated with that construction. So this would be inspection and review of submittals and that sort of thing associated with that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions? All right, may I please get a motion to forward to council for approval?
Chair, I move to recommend bill number 26074 for forward to council for full approval.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is item D, Bill number 26-075, an ordinance authorizing the use of a parts and service contract with Ford Motor Company authorizing dealership for maintenance and repairs of municipal vehicles. Mr. Stinson.
Good afternoon, Mark Stinson, Fleet Manager. This contract is kind of twofold. We've got contracts with Bob Site Ford and with Metro Ford. They are for parts, service, and some body shop work at Bob Site Ford. The contracts we're actually asking for approval to extend the purchasing amount. The limit is above $75,000 now, and so we have to have council approval for that. A couple reasons for the increase is just parts in itself are astronomically high lately, and then services is needed. So approval of these would continue us to allow service to all the Ford fleet vehicles, and no delays in that. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any questions? May I please get a motion to forward to council for approval?
Chair, I would move bill number 26-075 onto full council with a recommendation of approval, please.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
And Councilmember Carlisle.
Second.
Next item, item E, Bill number 26-076, an ordinance approving an amendment to an agreement between the City of Lee Summit, Missouri and the United States Geologic Survey for the installation and maintenance of stream gauges and authorizing the mayor to execute the same. Mr. Binger?
Okay. Good evening. George Binger, City Engineer. This agreement is a modification in schedule and time. The city entered into an agreement, a 50-50 cost share, to install stream gauges for basically monitoring streams that have a tendency to flood. We're looking at 5 stream gauges across the city to do this. Currently, we have one currently operating at Chipman Road by Cedar Creek, and then up in the north, it's on Lee Summit Road on the west side on the Little Blue River that affects Oak Ridge Meadows. We're trying to cover more of the city with this, so this will cover like Big Creek, kind of the south area, East Fork of the Little Blue, and other streams. And so we've entered into this agreement, and based on the timing, because for the U.S. Geologic Survey to continue, we just need to extend the time for this federal fiscal year. So that's basically what it's doing, is extending it through through September of this year to complete the project. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No. May I please get a motion to forward to council for approval?
Chair, I move to recommend bill number 26-076 forward to council for full approval.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. May I please get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Pryor.
Aye.
Vice Chair Rader.
Aye.
Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is item F, bill number 26-077. I had to make sure I was on the right one. An ordinance awarding the bid for project number P-296SS for the Surface Seal FY27 Program to Vance Brothers LLC in the amount of $1,310,772.82 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same.
Hello, Vance Schmager, Project Manager, Public Works Engineering. This is the Surface Seal Program. This is the thin topping we put on top of streets. They're still in good condition. Most of them, if not all of them, should have been crack sealed within the last 2 years. We like for it to get rolled in really good, and this is also funded by the transportation sales tax. It works to extend the life of the pavement, basically giving you a new driving surface on, much the same as putting a new coat of paint or a siding on the side of a house. It is a fine aggregate mixed with polymer asphalts that goes through. It fills up any of the small cracks and such on on the roads. We usually get 10-plus years of life out of this, so we find it very good, very economical. It's about a third of the price. This year's contract came in a third of the price of the overlay. So with that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Councilmember Rader?
So is this for, are these for specific streets or for every street
No, for specific streets
in the city that are
in
needing
the city,
it?
yes.
Okay. All I needed. Thank you.
Yeah, there'll be maps on it will be placed as soon as it goes through council, then we'll put maps on the Public Works website.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I please get a motion to forward to council for approval?
Who's sending this, Trish?
Okay, thank you, Chair. I would move bill number 26-077 onto full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Pryor
Aye.
and Vice Chair Rader
Aye.
and Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Next on the agenda is item G, bill number 26-078, an ordinance awarding the bid for project number P-296OV for the Mill Overlay FY27 Program to Ideker, Inc. in the amount of $4,256,868.18 and authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement for the same. Mr. Schmaker?
Yes, this year's program is going to approximately 40 miles of lane miles of roadway for the mill and overlay. And it's also funded by the transportation sales tax. This program, we remove approximately the top 2 inches of roadway, and then we put it back, which puts it back to get good cross slopes so the water drains off the road to the side and helps from deteriorating the further down in the road, preventing much more costly full depth rebuild of the road. Like most of our projects, it is set up to be neighborhood-wise. Usually, unless it's an arterial-type street, we try to go through at least sections of the neighborhood instead of doing one street here or one street there. Helps with our cost of scale and helps us with future planning so that we're not trying to go through every road maintained individually. With that, I can answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? No? Right, may I please get a motion in a second?
Chair, I move to recommend bill number 26-078 forward to council for full approval.
Second.
Thank you. May I please get a roll call?
Yes, Chair Pryor
Aye.
and Vice Chair Rader
Aye.
and Councilmember Carlisle.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next item, item H, 2026-7531, FY27 Draft Capital Improvement Plan. Mr. Binger?
Good evening, George Binger, City Engineer. This is kind of the summary overview of our proposed capital improvement plan for fiscal year 2027. And so I'll kind of walk through it at a very high level of what's in the plan. This plan is, it's out on the city's website now for public comment and review. We're planning on taking this to Planning Commission. It's on the 4th Thursday in April. So I'll kind of go through some of the review of the projects and some of the big numbers that are in here, and then I'll follow this up with kind of an executive summary report that we submit to council for staff roundtable, so all council members will see it. We'll kind of get into each section. So again, the capital improvement plan is it's kind of a twofold document. It's planning. The 5-year element is an amendment to the city's comprehensive plan adopted by Planning Commission. It is fiscally constrained. In other words, we've identified a funding source for every project that is in here. It covers the major capital, projects, infrastructure, and other assets. And generally, we look at any projects over $75,000. The other element of this is the budget component. So FY27 is part of the actual budget presentation to council that's adopted by that. So anyway, there's the statutory definition of capital improvement and what we basically include in this plan. So again, this is related to public infrastructure projects. And of course, in the city charter, we're required to submit it to council. We provide a summary, a list of projects, cost estimates, identify the financing, a recommended schedule. Of course, as you know, you see a lot of discussion and conversation. Schedules are subject to change. Usually, it has to do with right-of-way, utility, funding, just many things come into play on these projects. And then we also identify the estimated annual operating long-term maintenance costs associated with it as well. So when we look at the capital improvement plan, even though this is developed and put together by staff, and we generally have over 30 people working on this every year from the various departments and divisions, it's mostly driven by public comment. When I say public comment, it could be an election, such as a bond issue election, which identifies specific projects. We have service requests. We get work orders requests, and when we track infrastructure, work order history like water main breaks, potholes, pavement condition, things of that nature. So that is kind of the driving force on the condition side, as well as what's desired for improvement. This is nested in things like our comprehensive plan and strategic plan of goals for the community. And so when we go through this comment section, I like to emphasize that comments received now probably don't have an impact on this particular document, but when we look at years in the future. An example of that you'll see is the Lakewood Way project. We received comments on that for many years, and when we had the opportunity to go forward with the bond issue in April of 2023, that was one of the projects on there because that was kind of the guidance and direction that we had received. So again, we've got council guidance. We have to address existing condition. We've got the overall comprehensive plans. And then on our sales tax funds, we're looking at cash flowing those. We don't use the sales tax revenue to issue debt. That has to be, through the bond issue programs. So when you see these transportation sales tax, the capital improvement sales tax, those are all cash flow projects. Then, we look at the comments, we look at the service orders, and then prioritize. That's based on infrastructure condition. Doing a project now, do we extend life, reduce cost? Are we looking at is public safety an issue? Is capacity an issue? So those are things we look at as far as the sequencing on these. And just kind of an idea on the touch points, these are some of the factors that go into it. The ones highlighted with the star are basically where we have some sort of interaction with the public or elected officials on these things. And then again, kind of looking at, then once we get the overall idea of where we're going to go, we select projects. Some are required. We have to include it in here because of the bond issue elections or grants or interagency agreements. So some of those are required. Then there's ones that are highly recommended, where when we look at that, when we do like the sales tax election, we don't put a slate of projects on the ballot. The ballot is to authorize the funding. When we go to the voters, we have a public information piece, and that council has always kind of viewed that as kind of almost like a verbal contract or a promise that we are going to do these projects. If we have the opportunity to do additional projects, maybe at the end, we'll come back, and if we have some savings, and here are some potential other projects, and we'll get public input on that. But those are what we call highly recommended. We certainly don't have to, but it certainly helps when it comes to working with the voters on these things, because I think our last bond issue, we had like a 78% yes vote on the transportation side. Our sales tax was around 72% yes vote. So we feel that type of commitment is very helpful in the long run. We also will discuss, unfunded projects, we want to build a bench, so to speak. So when we have these election opportunities, we can take those to the process. So then we have to go through this annual authorization process, and I described that kind of briefly. That's coming back here, going through planning commission, and then working with council on the budget. So in the capital improvement plan, this is the print version of the document. There's an online version as well. And then each project has a detail sheet. And within this detail sheet, we will walk through, the category, the description, the main purpose of the project, and estimated schedule. One of the things we've added this year is we've had a lot of conversations the last year on delivery method. Design build, construction manager at risk, design bid build, job order contracting. So we've added that line here under the schedule. So that shows up on the detail sheets. Then we show how we've tied funding to this project. So in this case, Ward Road Phase 1, which is currently under construction, we have, that was part of the 2017 sales tax. We have some water relocation work in there, some sewer work, and then we have where we were successful in a grant application, and that adds up to our total project budget for this project. Then down here we see the annual operating cost. That's pavement maintenance, that's water, sewer, stormwater, just that ongoing cost for the entire length of this project. Then we show how it ties in with some of the bigger, the strategic plans and goals and objectives of the community. Again, kind of using this bubble chart to kind of give somewhat of a subjective evaluation of how this is responsive to the community needs. Okay, so looking at the highlights. Through FY27, we're looking at $432 million of work. Now that includes things that have previously been allocated in prior years. So that would be like the joint operations facility that's currently under construction. The total over the 5 years is $741 million. Now, this may change slightly in the final presentation, the final adoption. It may be like 745, 750, because there's always just some last minute changes that kind of come in through this. It's not adding projects, it's just trying to adjust the budgets to make sure we've got enough allocated to continue with the work. We're reporting we've completed 28 projects with as of June 30th of this year. We'll have 28 projects will have been completed from the last CIP, totaling $139 million of work. Now that's some of the big projects included in this are like Chipman Road, Colburn Road, of course Green Street was closed this year. Then we're looking at new projects. We're adding 20 projects and programs this year between now and 2031, and that totals about $52 million of work. So this is what it looks like by year and by major asset category. And so you see we're adding $131 million this year in budgeted projects. And 28 through 31, this is a planning piece, so some of these may change. This is where we can move projects, resequence, prioritize. An example of this year reprioritizing was the Todd George Parkway between Colburn Road and Woods Chapel Road. Land Reserve came in, they're ready to move forward with development of that. We entered into a kind of a public-private partnership on that because they wanted to move a lot faster than we can at this point, just based on staffing, cash flow, things of that nature. So they're ready to move forward with that, and so that's an example of how things may move forward and back. Now within the capital improvement plan, each one of these items has a summary page that will show all the projects for that, and that will be in that executive summary that we present to council during staff roundtable. And where we go from here, public comment is open. Now for public comment, the way to get there is if you go to the, here we go, sorry, it should be bookmarked. City of Lee Summit, go to our website. The easiest way is go into the search bar and type in capital improvement. Search. It's usually this first one up here, capital improvement plan. Now this is also under the public works page, and there's where you'll see you can see the current plan. You can see past presentations, our dashboard, and this is where the draft is posted. And people can view the plan, they can submit comments on this. We encourage people to submit comments. It's very helpful when we get, project-related stuff. That's very helpful going forward. And you'll see this preliminary and draft print stamp all over this document because this is a draft. So this is what we want people looking at. And then submitting a comment. If they click on here, there's the comment form. Now, we've had some discussion with this committee in the past of extending this throughout the year. We will close this for the Planning Commission so we can actually close the public comment period. And then shortly after that, we'll reopen it and we'll look at, is there ways to refine it? Because if the comments we get in are just, general gripes and complaints about, city government and things like that, we may have to restructure it to kind of help focus people a little more. We want to talk about infrastructure and projects, sidewalks in neighborhoods, overlay, condition index, what's, road conditions, things like that. Things that, where we can actually provide some feedback in the context of this. Because as an example this evening, the Peterson Road question, that gets folded into the capital improvement plan as an annual maintenance program that Mr. Smager is presenting tonight. So those are things that, cause us to go look at things, because, residents, they see a lot more than what we do. And so that's very helpful getting comments through this forum. So that's where that's found. And so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions or review any other slides.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
I have a question.
Councilmember Rader.
Thank you. Mr. Binger, so when the people go in to make their public comments, because people misunderstand things, and I want to make sure that I understand so I can tell other people, but is this for those coming up years? So I say, I get on there and I say, my sidewalks are in dire need of repair and they have been for the last 15 years. And I make a comment here, am I going to see a result of something done in this next 2027 to 2031? Or is this, because you said it takes years sometimes to get things done. I understand that. So is there an expectation? How can we let them know that, you're there, but?
Well, what we do is when we get the comments, we do respond to the comments.
Okay.
We will provide a response. Now, if we're not able to get through it in time for planning commission, we will get a response. And for your example, it doesn't necessarily have to be a large project down the road. Something like that works great as a service request. So if we get that in our plan, and the way that works is let's say if I'll pull up I had it there anyway. So anyway, so when we open the plan, there should be, it's bookmarked over here. So sidewalks, okay, I know where to look in the plan. Most people don't. But what we can do when we answer this question is we would come down here to our bridge, street, and signal summary. Okay, and then when I try to zoom in on this a little bit, you will see down here we have a sidewalk improvements program. Okay, again, I apologize for the small print. I'm just trying to give an example to walk through this. And so we can program that into sidewalk improvements. If it's small, it will go to operations just as a maintenance repair. And I'm going to scroll up really fast. No, I want to go to programs, sorry. Programs, okay. So an example on programs, these are where we can be a little more responsive because here we have our curb replacement program, overlay. We have this general program here, right-of-way infrastructure. That's kind of a case where somebody hits a guardrail, we got to go fix the guardrail. We have a major pavement failure, a large street patch or something of that nature. Operations can go out and do it. If it's beyond their capability, we can get contractors to do things like that. If we have to replace a large culvert, things that are we have some money allocated here. It won't cover everything, but this allows us to give a little bit faster response is in this program category. So comments, we will respond, try to get some sort of a time frame of how that can be presented. Generally, if it's smaller in scope and scale, we can do that. Sidewalk is a common one. If we know there's defects, we can go out, we can look at that, and we can program. That's probably more like a work order type response through our operations group. But then if it's more of like the sidewalk gap, it's just missing, that will go in that sidewalk program, and we can kind of look at the inventory and things like that.
Well, then let me ask you a better way then. So we talked about Lakewood Way, or you talked about Lakewood Way, and that was something that the residents had been, concerned about for some time. Mm-hmm. So, and it took a lot of years, did it not, to finally get that, going, or to kind of explain me in that situation where it was something that it needed to be reconstructed or whatever. Yeah, you know where I'm going with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that situation was one where the roadway itself was not so much a condition, it was more the traffic congestion, the periodic traffic congestion at the time. And that was a comment. It didn't really come in very high, unlike our thoroughfare master plan compared to other projects. We had that comment going on for probably about 3 or 4 years before the bond issue, when that came through. Southeast Douglas is an example that's was going on a lot longer. I mean, we were getting service requests 20 years ago on that. And so we were continuing to do, maintenance as we could. So I know yeah, 4 years, 20 years, that type of thing, I know takes time. But where this will probably come into play, in the next few years will be in the CIP sales tax, the 2017 capital improvement sales tax. Right now we're projecting some savings in that program. So with the last 5 years, we may have some money that we can use for new projects that weren't in that program. We can do things like augment our sidewalk gap program, add another project where we're getting a lot of demand. And that's because we've been very successful on some of our grant applications for that. I think we're estimating close to like $30 million in grant money for projects in that category over the years. So that's where these conversations come into play. And that's why I go back to that process where you see all those gold stars where we have the touch points with council. I mean, a phone call 18 to 969-1800 generates a service request. That is a touch point from the public. We track those. If we can fix it right away, we will. If not, we have that conversation. We call back the residents and kind of explain what's going on. And then, as you send stuff to us, we respond to those inquiries as well. So there's no set timeline. I advocate patience, persistence, because we move at the speed of government.
Right, and that's
at times. But when we can, it feels really good when we can respond quickly.
Sure.
I mean, that's great. Unfortunately, we have these financial constraints as well.
Right, and I appreciate you saying that, because it's just like, people are like, why can't this get done now? And we know it takes time.
Right.
But that's good. That was good information that you
We're-
gave, and I
we're-
appreciate that.
We're okay having those difficult conversations on your behalf.
Okay.
Yeah, Councilmember Rader, I would just make comment. If it's maintenance type work, just call us, we'll get it in. But if it's any kind of project, it might be I want a signal or a roundabout, or, when are you going to add street lights on this street, and anything, or huge projects, get them in. At least then we're aware of them. Sometimes it might be years because we just issued, a bond election. We just had a new sales tax, so it's going to be a while before we start to see the end of those commitments.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be, hey, we're already getting towards the end, and as Mr. Binger said, we're going to have to pick more projects, right, or go out to another election. And so it might just be the timing that you're really close. It wasn't all that long for like Lakewood Way. It was a little longer for like Orchard Street. They had to get in the pipeline, keep the consistency of making sure it's top of mind of, hey, we want this as a community. And then we're like, hey, wait a minute, there was a project here. And we keep track of all of those. As he said initially, we're building that bench. And the larger the project, obviously, the longer it might take. If they're asking for $1 million project, we might be able to work that in within some of our program funds. Now, if you're asking for, and you can't get much done for $1 million, I hate to say anymore, but if you're asking for a $10 to $20 million job, it's likely to take a lot longer time, and it's going to be competing with a lot of other projects and priority.
That's great. Thank you.
Councilmember Carlisle?
Thank you. So just nothing specific to this except for the public comment. So it's open for 2 weeks now, and you said you'll close it, and then it will be open again
Yes.
forever? Or?
Through the rest of the year.
Okay.
And then we can come back,
Rest of the fiscal year?
No.
Full year.
This year, yeah.
A little bit of that.
So when we come back to this time next year, we'll have all those comments.
Okay.
And we'll incorporate, because we include the public comments on our presentation at Planning Commission. We enter that in the public record as part of our presentation.
Yeah, so we always welcome comments. As he said, through service requests, just call us, send us emails. But I think we could do a better job of making that awareness known, that what they're commenting on is the adopted plan until you get to this point in time in our cycle. Then you're commenting on the draft. Once it's adopted, then it would be open comment period for that adopted plan until we get to this point next year. And making that just more obvious and apparent to all residents that you go to our CIP website, that comment period is going to remain open. You're just commenting on the plan as it was adopted as opposed to the plan that was drafted.
Okay, thank you.
So comments that go through like LS Connect, through the app, do they automatically get rolled over to this, or you guys just keep track of those comments, and if you can't immediately fulfill that request, then it?
So those we keep track of
Okay.
as if we got an email or we got a phone call and it generated a service request. See, those LS Connect, our service requests are just coming in a little more automated through an application, as opposed to somebody calling and leaving a message or talking to somebody in person or sending an email. So we do account for those. Typically, those LS Connect things are more operational, maintenance. Hey, my street light's out, or my stop sign was knocked down, and that's really the intent, is because it gets you right into that work order pipeline a lot quicker, for much quicker response. You know, there's been a pothole, you put it in LS Connect, we'll be out there within 48 hours, typically less than 24 hours, depending on when we receive it, and it's cleared up, as opposed to you call it in, we create a service request, we dispatch, validate, come back, issue a work order. It takes a little bit longer.
That app is my favorite. I love it. I send it to everyone. So is it, the more people that request the same specific request, does that move it up? Like, does it help to have a coordinated effort if you really want something done?
It's not a popularity contest for projects, but certainly I think the number of comments you get has an influence in how our elected officials view priority. You know, we will put it on the spectrum of all the other factors, you know, safety. Have we had crash history, condition? What does condition index say? Operationally, is there delays? And so those are all more fact-based decisions, but you always have a little influence there, all things equal. You're gonna say, well, I've heard a lot more about this project than this project. I'm gonna go with the one I've heard people comment about, again, when all the other things are kind of similar, right? Or when you're in the balance and you're like, these are two really close projects, that's where the public opinion counts the most.
Kind of illustrate this in our detail sheets, this community engagement, that how we factor in some of that public input or comment. So you can see all these other things, as Mr. Park described, do fit in, but there is that public engagement element or component.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions? Nope. All right, well, that was a good presentation. Thank you. I guess that takes us to Roundtable.
I'll also make comment, it was mentioned during some of the presentations about like maps, and so all those maps on the overlay program and the microsurfacing program are in your packet, so they're available to the public to see, and as soon as those are out, they'll also be up on our city website for everybody to see. We've also had quite a bit of progress in updating or creating new web pages for projects. If they go to our CIP dashboard, you find it just where Mr. Binger had shown people to navigate on the website, or search CIP and you can follow the dashboard there. Projects like Pryor Road, even though it's in construction, it's got its web page for answering questions. Ward Road, Douglas North and South, so projects that haven't started construction, there's new and updated web pages for those. Olive Orchard, and then Warden Purcell's, which on the Warden Purcell's project, just kind of as a general update, we have closed on all of the real estate needed to complete the job, so it's now moving forward again. It had been stalled out for several years, to put it kindly. And so we're all looking forward to that also now starting to advance. The other thing is, I'd just like to mention, this is, I believe, as our current committee is structured, the last one for our current committee, because we'll see a change in Mayor City Council coming up, and there might be new appointed persons, and in particular, Councilmember Hodges, who will no longer be a council member as of our next meeting in May. So just thank you all for your work. It's an important job that you all have as Public Works Committee members.
Yep. Thank you, guys. All right. Well, I guess that adjourns our meeting at 5:20.